My wife used to spend every single penny she had on me. But the very day she got pregnant, I chose to divorce her and vanish. I left her behind with a massive mountain of debt. To escape the debt collectors, my pregnant wife had to hide day and night. When she was tired, she slept under cold bridges. When she was hungry, she scavenged through trash cans for scraps. Everyone cursed my name, calling me the lowest scum on earth. They had no idea I was actually suffering from a terminal illness. 5 years ago, I hid the truth and went abroad alone to seek treatment. But my condition worsened so fast that I collapsed the moment I arrived. When I finally woke up, 2.5 years had passed, and my illness was stable. But I knew the next time it flared up would be my end. I hired someone to track down my wife and find out what happened. I learned that after I left, both mother and daughter suffered immensely and hated me deeply. I sat with that thought for a long time. After all, I'm a man who could drop dead at any second. For the next 3 years, I underwent grueling treatment every single day. I lived in constant, agonizing pain. With the little time I had left, I used my remaining strength to build a business empire. I built a commercial empire from nothing. With my secret help, my wife, Urian, became the biggest superstar of the moment. She has released 99 songs in the 4 years since her debut, and every single one was a massive hit. Today, every major media outlet and influential musician in all of Dacia has gathered. They are all here for one reason: the release of Urian's 100th song. Urian, the darling of the heavens, debuted 4 years ago. Before her debut, she was as pure as a blank sheet of paper, and she remains so today. Fans and the media know nothing about her except her name and her talent. Online speculation never stops, and her mysterious background has become Dacia's biggest unsolved mystery. But today, at this press conference, she is finally going to reveal the truth about her past. In a small cabin not far away, I sit with a pale face, looking like a man in his 30s. I keep my eyes glued to the live broadcast on the screen. I am the man who loves Urian the most, but I am also the man who hurt her the most. Today is the launch of her 100th song, and it might be the last time I ever see her. My time is running out, and I only want to see her one last time, so I don't die with regrets. I hold a notebook in my hand with the words "Diary of a Despicable Man" written in large letters. This diary records every despicable act I committed since the day I met her, along with my countless broken promises. Before I close my eyes forever, I want to remember every single detail of my life with her. Because my illness has worsened, I only have 3 months left to live. I can feel myself fading away as the pain takes hold. My best friend, Zitu, patted me on the back. Who would have thought the world-renowned godfather of music was such a devoted lover? I looked up and said, "Nothing, godfather of music? What a joke. If it weren't for you, Urian, that title wouldn't even exist in this world." I ignored Zita's chatter and slowly closed my eyes. I'm just so tired, and even though I'm lucid now, I'll be sleeping for a long, long time soon. Now that I've seen her one last time, I think I can finally rest in peace. Seeing me drift off, Zita reached out and took the diary from my hand. He signaled for someone nearby to carry me back to my room. Then, he turned and walked toward the center of the press conference. In my final moments, I had asked him to find a way to leave my entire inheritance to Urian. But I also demanded he never tell her the truth, and for once, Zita wasn't going to listen. At the press conference, a reporter stood up and asked why she chose this moment to tell her story. Urian smiled, suppressing her emotions as she spoke into the microphone. Of course, the theme of this 100th song is regret and missed opportunities. Suddenly, a loud, mocking laugh echoed through the hall. Regret and missed opportunities? Tell me, miss you, do you regret leaving that scumbag? Every head in the room turned toward the sound. The speaker was a man in his 30s with a weathered face that had seen too much. Urian's brow furrowed as she stared at him. Of course I regret it. When I look back, all I feel is shame. The man spoke with brutal honesty. So, miss you, do you remember this diary? It was Zitu. He held up the notebook in his hand, the words "Scumbag's Diary" catching the light. A sea of camera flashes illuminated the worn cover. Urian looked up and saw the book. The pages were yellowed with age, and she froze in shock. She bit her lip hard, a flicker of sadness crossing her eyes as she recognized it. Scumbag's Diary. I had written those 4 words myself, one by one, all those years ago. Where did you get that? Urian asked, her voice tight with urgency. She had so many questions about that book. Zitu ignored her and flipped to the first page, reading the words aloud. You say you love the beauty of fireworks, but hate how they fade. So I wish for a rain of flowers to fill the sky all night, so you never have to see them disappear. You say you love the starlight, but don't know that star shines for you. I say the galaxy needs your light to glow. Zitu read those 2 beautiful, poetic sentences with a soft, steady voice. Urian stood paralyzed. Did he send you? Zita smirked. Are you hoping he did? Urian went silent, unable to find an answer. Zita didn't care. If you want to know the truth, go to the rooftop. I'll be waiting. He turned and walked out without looking back, certain that she would follow. Urian stood there, her heart racing with a mix of fear and nerves. I had imagined our reunion 1,000 times, but never like this. Rian, don't go. Have you forgotten how much he hurt you? Linyu, her best friend and current manager, grabbed her arm and spoke anxiously. If anyone understood the hell Urian had been through these last 5 years, it was Linyu. Urian shivered at the mention of the past. The bitterness of those 5 long years came flooding back into her heart. I hadn't seen him once since the breakup, so why show up now? Yu nodded to calm Lin Yu down and said, I'm going. I need to see him with my own eyes. I want to mock him to his face. I won't show him a shred of mercy. All I feel for him now is pure hate. With that, Yu walked out, with Lin Yu and the rest of the team following close behind. The elite media of Daxia followed too, refusing to miss a single second of the drama. Yu took the lead and stepped onto the rooftop first. She froze instantly, her expression turning into a mask of shock. The scene before her eyes was lit by small, flickering points of light. They were scenes from every movie I used to watch with her back then, on a laptop, curled up on a sofa. Yu was always a crybaby whenever a movie got emotional. She could never hold back her tears. She'd even rewind the sad parts just to cry again, and I'd always call her my little fool. I used to sit patiently, watching those same scenes with her over and over, but now, she couldn't even cry. Inside, I scoffed. Is this it? You think this is enough to move me? You underestimate me. Yu screamed at my back as I stood there. She was certain now that I was the one behind all of this, because only I knew these secrets. I thought, it's just pathetic. Where were you 5 years ago? When I was desperately searching for you, where were you then? I didn't answer her. I just leaned down and sparked a lighter against the fireworks on the ground. A loud boom echoed as the rockets shot into the sky like arrows. In an instant, a rain of light filled the air, exploding against the silent night in dazzling beauty. Those first sparks were just a signal, and as they began to fade, the real show started. Everyone heard it, a low, rhythmic thundering. The sound came from every direction, followed by countless fireworks screaming toward the clouds from across the city. They blanketed the entire night sky in a heartbeat, forcing everyone to look up. The city of Moto was drowning in light. It was undoubtedly the greatest fireworks display in history. Countless couples held each other tight, watching the sky and dreaming of a love just as bright. As the smoke cleared, 5 massive characters began to glow against the darkness. They grabbed everyone's attention. Yu, I love you. In that moment, the whole world knew exactly who this display was for. Yu heart skipped a beat. If I didn't truly love her, how could I still remember? It was the Lantern Festival years ago when she wished this beauty would never end, and it turns out, I remembered every word. I remembered every single word she said that year. I made the whole city shine just for her, but as the fireworks continued, the sky shifted again. People stared at the clouds in a daze, rubbing their eyes and wondering if they were hallucinating. It was supposed to be a cloudy night, yet suddenly, thousands of stars appeared. But they weren't stars. They were thousands of floating lanterns rising into the sky at once. It was an impossible illusion of a starlit heaven. How many lanterns did this take, and how many people had to release them to create this? The city was bathed in the glow of fire and paper, and suddenly, tears began to well in her eyes. While others saw incomparable beauty, I only saw the bitterness hidden behind the display. To pull this off, I had pushed myself for an entire month while my body was failing me. The pain often kept me from standing, yet I insisted on doing it all myself while she remained blind to my sacrifice. Someone screamed as 5 new words formed in the sky. Yu, do you? The I love you had vanished, replaced by a haunting question. Yu, do you regret it? Before she could react, soft music began to drift across the rooftop, and Situ approached her with a microphone. He asked if she knew the melody, and as she took the mic, tears streamed down her face again. How could she not know? This was her 100th song, the one she was supposed to launch today. She began to sing, her voice soft as water, turning her sadness into a river that drowned the rooftop. Everyone stood in a heavy silence, completely forgetting to even record the moment. They forgot this was a product launch. They were simply lost in the grief of her voice. She sang of being lost at a crossroads, thanking the hand that once held hers. I can still feel that tenderness, and finally, everyone understood why this song was about regret and lost love. Songs always have a way of finding the softest, most vulnerable parts of the heart. But thank you for being there. This was the final release of How Much Love. The crowd erupted in applause as Dacia celebrated the birth of another masterpiece, but Yu just sobbed through the final notes. She turned around, her eyes searching frantically for the figure that used to be so familiar. Stop looking. He isn't here, Sita said coldly, watching her panic with a knowing look. Is it that you can't find the feeling anymore? Or do you still love him? He asked in a calm, steady voice. Yu didn't say a word, her entire body trembling from the weight of a love she once held deep. After all, these were the dreams of her youth. How could she possibly remain unmoved? Standing to the side, Inu grew impatient once again. Rian, don't believe a word he says. Have you forgotten the suffering he put you through? He's a leech. Now that he sees you succeeding, he's using these cheap tricks to manipulate you. If you actually forgive him now, he'll turn into a vampire and destroy you completely. Inu's poisonous words rippled through the crowd, drawing nods of agreement from the onlookers. The mindless chatter reached Sidhu's ears, and his face turned pale with rage. He absolutely loathed this group of ignorant, self-righteous fools. But among the hundreds of people there, at least 1 or 2 understood the truth. An older journalist spoke up. Is he an idiot or not? I don't know his purpose, and it isn't easy to guess. But this man isn't poor, and he definitely didn't come here for money. Have you actually calculated how much tonight's fireworks cost? Old Chin asked the question, adding, if I'm not mistaken, these fireworks had to be produced by the Moto Fireworks Company. Top-tier quality. The unit price alone is over 4 figures. Then look at the duration of tonight's display. A conservative estimate wouldn't be less than 500 million, right? That's not even counting the custom lanterns or the labor costs. When you add it all up, the total is probably closer to $1 billion. $1 billion? Was Yu Rian's current net worth even that high? Would someone who can drop $1 billion just to say goodbye really be a leech? After Old Chun finished his math, the entire venue fell into a deathly silence. Everyone knew this show cost a fortune, but hearing the actual number out loud left them stunned. A man with $1 billion to burn is a giant anywhere he goes, not a servant. Sita kept his eyes locked on Yu Rian, waiting for her answer. Yu Rian gave a faint, bitter smile and said, fireworks always fade, no matter how beautiful. And no matter how good the past was, it's over, isn't it? Miss Yu Rian, do you really think Yu doesn't love you anymore? Sita pressed. Because that bastard doesn't deserve your love, or you. Hurry up and bring that bastard out. I promise I won't beat him to death. Lin Yu grew anxious hearing this, knowing exactly how Yu Rian survived these years. She had watched her suffer, feeling her fear, yet Yu Rian pushed through alone. And now this Sita had the nerve to talk about love and who deserves what? Situ ignored Lin Yu, keeping his eyes fixed on Yu Rian, waiting for her answer. Lin Yu had been by her side for 5 years, seeing her struggle, so she hated me. But Situ had also been by my side for those same 5 years. He knew exactly how much I loved the woman standing in front of him. He wanted to know if Yu Rian felt anything besides hate, even a spark of longing. If she did, then everything I had sacrificed for her would finally be worth it. Her mind was a mess, and Sita's question cut deep enough to make her heart ache. But her face remained a mask, a skill she perfected after years in the industry. To me, Yu is just an extra in my life, and I am just an extra in his. We live and let live. The best-case scenario is that we never speak again. Sita smiled, suddenly feeling a wave of pity for his brother. Miss Yu Rian, sometimes what your eyes see isn't the whole truth. If you don't cherish what you have now, you'll live to regret it when it's gone. Regret? Regret losing him? That's impossible. It will never happen, she snapped. 4 years ago, at the City Children's Hospital, Sita started, but she cut him off. Yu Rian turned her head, squeezed Lin Yu's hand, and gave her a sharp nod. It's fine, Lin Yu. We weren't going to keep it a secret much longer anyway. Today, I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what a piece of trash that man was back then. The crowd leaned in, hanging on every word as the room fell deathly silent. Yu Rian cleared her throat, gripped the microphone, and spoke with cold precision. After the breakup, I searched for Yu like a madwoman, twice. The first time was 2 months after we split, because that's when I found out I was pregnant. The crowd erupted into a chaotic roar of whispers and gasps. Now that the truth was out, no one could stay silent anymore. Faced with the rising noise, Yu Rian raised her hand to quiet them down. The room gradually settled, and she continued her story. Yes, it's true. I was pregnant, and the moment I saw the results, I went looking for him. In that moment, all the pain he caused me in the past didn't seem to matter anymore. I just wanted my child to have a father and a complete family, even if that father was someone as incompetent and worthless as him. I called everyone I knew to try and track him down. I sent Yu countless messages, begging for a response. I waited by my phone every second, hoping for a sign. I reached out to every mutual friend we had, but Yu had vanished without a trace. I was desperate, but I tried to comfort myself, thinking he must have a good reason for hiding. And just as I was trying to convince myself of that, a close friend told me the truth. She saw Yu leaving a hotel with a beautiful girl, and in that moment, my heart shattered. Scum like him shouldn't exist, the crowd cursed, unable to hide their disgust. Yu Rian continued, I don't know if he knows, and he doesn't deserve to. In the end, I decided to keep the baby. Not for Yu, but because I am a mother. I felt the child connected to my blood. The baby was innocent, and I loved it. Because of this child, my parents disowned me and threw me out of the house. If Lin Yu hadn't taken me in, Guagua and I might have starved on the streets. The audience had suspected as much, but hearing it still felt like a punch to the gut. Yu Rian looked directly at Situ and spoke with a trembling voice. And now, out of nowhere, you tell me this? That he spent $1 billion just to see me smile? I don't feel touched, I feel sick. He's a bastard. If he's so capable, where was he when I needed him most? Where was he when our child needed him? Where was he? Does he think this is a fantasy? Does he only remember the wife who supported him now that he's had his fun? Hearing this, Situ desperately wanted to scream the whole truth. But I had promised to keep his terminal illness a secret. That was his final red line. When you broke up, Yu wasn't as successful as he is now, Situ explained weakly. But the excuse sounded hollow. Being broke is one thing, but he lacked love, Rian snapped. He doesn't love this child at all, she said coldly. Not one bit. Yu is the child's father too, and when he spoke to me about Guagua, his face was full of joy. You can't say that, Situ shouted, his voice laced with anxiety. Really? Then where was he the second time I looked for him? Yu Rian asked calmly. But the way she ground her teeth betrayed her rage. I was kicked out. I was homeless. With Lin Yu's help, the baby was born without any complications. But the moment she was born, the nightmare began. Guagua had congenital anemia. Her blood volume was dangerously low, and she needed a transfusion immediately. The test showed she had panda blood, a rare type that neither the hospital nor my family had. The only person who could save her was her so-called father. Do you have any idea how desperate that situation was? Urian choked up, unable to forget those agonizing days. The doctor told me that if we didn't find a match, Guogwa wouldn't survive more than 48 hours. Rian broke down into tears right there. Linyu stepped up and hugged her from behind, gently stroking her back. It's okay, it's over now, Linyu whispered. We already got through the hardest part. Rian forced her emotions back down and nodded to Linyu. When she looked up again, the sadness was gone, replaced by a mask of ice. I searched for Yu like a madwoman, checking every place he knew and asking everyone he met. I even went to beg the girl I saw him with at the hotel. I didn't care about my pride. I just wanted him to save our daughter, no matter the cost. Where was he when I was kneeling in front of his old company's doors, while people pointed and mocked me? Where was he when my daughter's life was hanging by a thread? Where was he? I was screaming at the top of my lungs. People in the crowd started tearing up, unable to imagine a mother who had just given birth going through that. I was kneeling on the street during my postpartum recovery, desperate and alone. I forced myself to calm down, knowing that if the hospital hadn't suddenly found that blood type, Guogwa would have died a long time ago, and her father never even bothered to look at her. He didn't check on his own daughter once, from the very beginning to the end. Does he even deserve her? I never wanted to mention these things ever again. I'm only saying this today so you can pass a message to him. Tell him to stay out of my life forever. I don't need him, I don't want him, and I need him to stop bothering me. Situ smiled bitterly, looking at my frozen, calm expression. He could feel the bone-deep hatred radiating from me, and he didn't know who was right or wrong anymore. Even if Yu had 1,000 reasons for what he did, he had clearly caused this amazing woman an unforgivable amount of pain. But maybe, just maybe, he actually did show up for her. Situ opened the diary in his hand to the page dated May 13, 2016. That was the night of Guogwa's surgery, and Situ began to read the entry out loud. The weather is beautiful today. I dragged my exhausted body to see my daughter for the first time. My name is Yu. I am a failure of a boyfriend, and an even worse father. My heart melted. You are so tiny and so adorable. I felt the pull of our own blood. It made me want to hold you, but just as I reached out my hand to embrace you, the doctor stopped me. He said you were like an apple chosen by God. God loves you so much, he couldn't resist taking a bite. That's why you were born so fragile. You can't be exposed to the dust of this world. What a despicable God. My hand stayed frozen in the air. In that moment, I desperately wanted to tell the doctor something. This might be the closest I ever get to her. This is my only chance to help her. This doctor was stopping a father from holding his own child. Could anything be more cruel to a parent? But I don't feel sad, because I know that soon, we will be joined as one. My blood will soon be with you for the rest of your life. Isn't that just another way to protect you? If you are ever lucky enough to learn the truth, just remember, Daddy loves you. As Situ finished reading, I felt my world spinning. I screamed out, this isn't about you. He couldn't have written this. It's not him. It can't be. I refuse to believe it. In my heart, he was a heartless, ruthless beast. But hearing that my daughter owes her life to him, I can't accept it. I remembered those scenes from the past all over again. The hospital had no blood left, and I couldn't find you anywhere. Just as I was losing hope, the doctor called with a miracle. He said a kind soul with panda blood was willing to help. I knew how rare that blood type was. I had done the research. In all of Dacia, that blood type hadn't been seen for decades. But in my frantic joy, I didn't stop to think. I just felt like heaven was finally showing my daughter mercy. I tried to find that kind stranger later, but the hospital said they were gone. They refused to leave a name, and now, the coincidences are piling up. But no matter the truth, I can't accept this. To hate someone for years, only to realize you were wrong, it's too much. The room fell silent as everyone realized what the diary implied. The person who saved my daughter was Yu. Situ continued reading. Mommy and Daddy love you so much. I just won't be there to watch you grow up. You'll grow slowly, and one day, you'll be a young lady. If you can, find me in your dreams and tell me you're healthy. When you grow up, you must listen to your mother. She is the person who loves you most, and the most beautiful soul on earth. It just says it was produced by Sunshine Music Company. Urian was drowning in tears, refusing to believe it was true. But her instinct told her the one who saved Bobo was Yu. It could only be him. Situ closed the diary and placed a piece of paper in my hand. It was a blood donation form from 5 years ago, with Yu's name written clearly in the donor column. Seeing those 2 words in bright red, I finally collapsed into a fit of sobbing. My tears weren't for myself, but for Bobo and the suffering she endured. Yet I felt a small sense of relief knowing Bobo actually had a father who cared. Situ said nothing and simply gestured to the sound crew on the rooftop. Suddenly, the prelude to the song, Listen to Mom, began to play. The entire audience was instantly captivated as the lyrics asked, Kid, do you have a lot of questions? Why are others reading comics while I'm learning to draw and talking to a piano? The lyrics spoke from a child's perspective, venting all the frustrations of growing up. I thought, Yu, were you imagining Bobo's childhood when you wrote this? If I loved her so much, why didn't I stay to watch her grow up? I realized that back then, if I had just shown up, even buried in debt, I would have been willing to walk with him until the very end. My hardened heart began to soften as the song continued. Why must you listen to Mom? When you're older, you'll start to understand these words. As I grew up, I understood why I run faster and fly higher than the rest. In the future, everyone will see my comics and sing the songs I write. Situ started crying. It was the first time she had broken down all day. She remembered exactly when Yu wrote this song and how he spoke while writing it. He said Urian was strong-willed and Bobo would surely suffer for it later. But he insisted Bobo could never hate her because Urian was the best woman he knew. He wanted Bobo to know that everything her mother did was for her own good. As Situ recounted this, her voice began to crack and tremble. Without me around, what are they going to do? What if people bully my little girl? Urian is so impatient. If Bobo is just like her, who will be there to stop their fights? Is this one song even enough? What if Urian finds someone else? What if she moves on? If she actually finds a new partner? What if a stepfather mistreats Bobo, or she's mocked at school for having no real father? What if she meets an idiot like me and gets her heart broken? I wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Situ realized then that every word was the heartbreaking lament of a father who wanted to love but couldn't. Urian was hurting, but wasn't Yu hurting more? She at least got to stay with their daughter. As the song ended, the crowd murmured, wondering if they had been wrong about Yu all along. My makeup was ruined by tears as an unbearable ache spread through my chest. I looked at Situ with bloodshot eyes and choked out. Where is Yu? Where is he now? Situ opened her mouth to answer, but Lin Yu cut her off instantly, shouting, "Don't be fooled by his tricks. All of this is just empty words. If he really loved you, why didn't he say so before? Even if he gave Bobo his blood, that was his duty. Using a basic obligation to manipulate you is just ridiculous." Lin Yu glared at Situ with pure disdain. If a man does 100 evil things and one good deed, is he suddenly a saint? Bobo is his daughter. Isn't he supposed to do these things? Faced with Lin Yu's interrogation, Situ only offered a cold, knowing smile. Should he? Of course he should. She's his daughter. It's only logical for him to save her. But at what cost? None of you have any idea what Yu sacrificed to give that blood. He was a cancer patient. To ensure his blood was clean, he underwent the most brutal treatments imaginable before the donation. It wasn't just chemo. It was the kind of torture that makes you pray for death. Have any of you felt a needle pierce your bone? Now imagine a second one, and imagine it happening without anesthesia. Even saying it like that, you can't possibly grasp the agony. Please. Think about a massive spike being driven through your thigh bone and out the other side. Yu endured that over and over. He refused numbing agents so they wouldn't taint his blood, biting down until his teeth shattered without making a sound. He said his blood was dirty and had to be purified. He wouldn't let his daughter's future be contaminated by his sickness. When the doctor finally said his blood was healthy, he smiled, a wide, terrifying grin through a mouth full of blood. Situ had looked away, unable to watch. Who could endure such pain, even for the sake of fatherly love? After the transfusion, my body gave out completely. I never stood on my own 2 feet again. I spent the last 5 years of my life trapped in a wheelchair. Those who don't know the truth shouldn't speak. I never wrote about the pain in my diary. I truly felt it was just my duty. In a cabin not far away, I slowly woke up in my wheelchair. I'm so tired lately. I know death is coming for me. I open my eyes and stare at the screen in front of me. I set this up a long time ago. These fireworks are my final gift to Urian. I can't show my face to her, but I still want to see her smile. I had a camera hidden at the scene so I could watch her with my own eyes. I didn't expect the show to be over already, so I stared at the dark screen and let out a sarcastic laugh. I hit the replay button to watch the fireworks from the very beginning. Fireworks were always Rian's dream, and I wanted to see every second of her joy. She was smiling at first, but after just a few minutes, my own smile froze. The fireworks are beautiful and the stars are bright, but my heart is sinking. On the video, Situ is holding my diary and beginning to read it out loud. My pupils dilate in shock, and a wave of pure panic hits my chest. What is Situ doing? I stammer, my voice trembling. My hands scramble blindly, searching for my phone to stop this nightmare. I can't let Rian forgive me. If she knows the truth after I'm gone, she'll be destroyed. How much more pain can that stubborn girl endure? The thought makes my hands shake so hard the blanket slides to the floor, taking my phone with it. I lean over to grab it, but my broken body won't bend an inch. The nurse quickly picks it up and hands it to me as I frantically search for Situ's contact. I have to stop him before he says everything. Let the misunderstandings die with me. My fingers fumble over the screen, but before I can dial, the world goes black and I collapse. The phone rings suddenly, and Situ takes a quick look at the screen. He walks quickly to a corner and answers, listening in total silence. 2 minutes later, he simply whispers, "I don't understand," and hangs up. His expression turns even colder than before. He was hesitating to continue, but his pity for me has finally outweighed his pity for her. Situ glares at Urian and asks coldly, "Do you really believe he never loved you? Have you forgotten that you were the one who initiated the breakup both times? Did Yu ever actually do anything wrong to you? Do you have a single shred of proof that he betrayed your love?" Situ's questions send a shockwave through the audience, leaving Rian stunned. He's right, she was the one who walked away, but she can't accept the blame. Rian shakes her head, but before she can speak, her friend Lin Yu jumps in. "Stop lying," Lin Yu screams. "Do you think Rian doesn't remember what he did? Rian loved him so much, she never would have ended it if he hadn't broken her heart. Does it make you feel better to invent these lies?" Situ snaps back. Who exactly is distorting the facts here? I was right there by Rian's side back then. Linyu shouts, her eyes spitting fire. No one knows the truth better than I do, and I can guarantee one thing. She did everything in her power to cherish that relationship and never hurt him. And in the end, all she got from him was a breakup. Sita didn't back down for a second. He remembered exactly how I fell into a deep depression and got my terminal diagnosis right after. He felt absolutely zero sympathy for the superstar standing in front of him. Rian let out a scornful laugh and asked, so she told you what I did back then? She was drowning in her own grievances, demanding to know how much he really knew about 5 years ago. Her mind drifted back to that night as she began to speak slowly once more. That night 5 years ago was the first time I ever drank in my life. The alcohol went to my head and finally gave me the nerve to make that decision. I had endured Yu's contempt and passive-aggressive silence countless times. I saw him flirting with other girls, and I finally decided to end the relationship. Are you sure about this? Are you really breaking up with him? Linyu had asked her solemnly. Rian nodded, downed another glass of beer, and let the tears flow. This is my second breakup with Yu, and it will be the last. We never should have gotten back together. Back then, after our first split, my mother was so worried I'd never marry that she rushed me into a blind date. That was the moment a thorn first pierced my heart. I only intended to go through the motions to keep my mother happy. But as the man for the blind date slowly approached the table, my heart completely shattered. There I was, the ex-boyfriend she had dumped 3 days prior, holding a rose and sitting down across from her. I looked incredibly self-conscious, my hands shaking so much I didn't know where to put them. His first words were, since we're so connected, why don't we start over? My name is Yu. That's how we got back together, but I never dared to ask why he was at a blind date just 3 days after our breakup. Rian took a heavy swig of liquor, her voice trembling with a 5-year-old pain. Would a man who truly loves you really find a new match that quickly? I lied to myself 1,000 times, but that thorn stayed buried in my heart. After we reconciled, he stopped caring about me the way he used to. He started coming home later and later, night after night. I'm terrified of the dark, but I'd force myself to go out and look for him anyway. Rian's voice broke as she reached the part that hurt the most. I finally found him one night, sleeping all alone in his car. Isn't it pathetic? He preferred a cramped car seat to coming home to me. He knew I was waiting up, but he just didn't want to walk through that door. Do you really think a man like that loved me? Or did he secretly hate me? Maybe he only stayed because I was his long-term meal ticket. To him, I wasn't a partner. I was just his source of income. Tears streamed down her face as she sobbed, admitting she knew the truth all along. I knew he had stopped loving me a long time ago. He had already started talking to other girls behind my back. I saw a message on his phone once from a girl asking, when are you going to tell her? Tell me, what was there to tell? What else could it possibly be but an affair? I smiled as I looked at Rian. She looked so pathetically, forcefully tragic. I have a similar story, and I wondered if she'd be interested in hearing it. Rian frowned, asking if I was still trying to make excuses for what she lived through. I asked her with a cold smile, who can say what's true? Are you afraid to let me speak? She told me to go ahead, convinced I was just making up nonsense to save face. Linyu grew anxious and snapped at her. You're slandering him. I pulled out the diary, opened it to an entry from 5 years ago, and began to read. It's the blind date event 5 years ago, and I've been waiting here for 3 days. Rian deleted all my contact info, and I've been wandering aimlessly ever since. This is my absolute last ray of hope. She once said her mother was pressuring her to go on blind dates, specifically this one. My persistence finally paid off. I saw her walking in. Only God knows how nervous I was to see the woman I longed for standing right there. I wanted to run to her, but I was terrified of scaring her away. Luckily, it went well when I approached her, trembling, with a bouquet of roses. I nervously suggested we start over since fate brought us together, and she didn't say no. She agreed to reconcile, but she has no idea how much that moment cost me. I never told her how much I panicked during those 3 days she was gone. Back then, I was asked, if I loved her that much, why did we end up apart? I don't know. I really don't know. After we got back together, I decided I needed to grow up and take more responsibility. We had just started the music company back then, and we'd sunk every penny of our savings into it. It got so bad that sometimes I had to rely on Rian just to buy me a meal. That only made me push myself harder. I was desperate to give her a real future. In those days, we'd stay at the office until 2 in the morning. I think that's when my health first started to fail me. I worked so late, and since Rian is a light sleeper, I was terrified of waking her up. Most nights, I'd just pull the car into the driveway and sleep right there in the driver's seat. I'd sit there in the dark, thinking about how adorable she looked while she slept. I'd even drift off with a smile on my face. I remembered every little detail about her because I was secretly planning a massive surprise. My close friends know I struggle with social anxiety, but for her sake, I swallowed my pride and reached out to several female friends for advice. I wanted everything to be perfect. One girl asked me, so, when are you finally going to tell her about the surprise? I looked at my phone and grinned like a kid who had just fallen in love for the first time. I told her the surprise was almost ready. I just needed to secure those concert tickets. Rian loved singing more than anything, and I knew she'd be ecstatic, because at that concert, I wasn't just giving her a gift, I was going to propose. I spent so much time preparing for that proposal. I wanted to tell her I loved her in the most romantic way possible, but I never imagined how it would end. The day I planned to ask for her hand in marriage. Turned out to be the exact day she told me we were over. At almost the exact same moment, I said, "Let's get married," and she said, "Let's break up." The roses I was holding hit the ground like flowers at a funeral, and from that moment on, our paths diverged. Urian stood there dazed, not knowing whether to believe any of this. For years, she told herself I never loved her and was just playing games, but now the truth was staring her in the face. "This has to be a story he made up just to look good," Linyu muttered, though her voice lacked conviction. She argued that if I were really that great, Urian never would have left me. But the details were too identical, and the timeline was too perfect. Who could possibly invent a story this consistent on the fly? The logic of the situation just didn't add up to them. If Urian had misunderstood everything, why didn't I just explain myself back then? Was it really that hard to speak up? They assumed I only wrote these things in a supposed diary, just to make myself look like the hero of my own tragedy. C2 bit his lip and remained silent, unsure of how to break the tension. How could he tell them I had terminal cancer, and that's why I never said a word? C2 shook her head, still refusing to tell everyone about my terminal illness. Her silence only triggered a more savage attack from Linyu, who demanded to know why she was quiet. Linyu snapped that regardless of the past, I couldn't hide the fact that I was a scumbag. She asked how much suffering I had caused Urian. She asked how much little Guagua had to suffer because of me. "Do you even have any idea?" she hissed. She reminded everyone how Urian was left all alone while heavily pregnant. Urian rushed to stop her, begging her to say no more. But Linyu grinned and insisted that the truth had to be said. "I understand you, Rian. You're letting him touch your heart again, aren't you?" She warned her not to fall for my tricks or forget the lessons of the past. "Have you forgotten how hard we had it at the beginning?" Urian opened her mouth to speak, but no sound came out because her heart was indeed softening. Every detail from my diary made her relax, longing for the infinite tenderness I once showed her. Seeing Urian waver made Linyu even more indignant. She absolutely could not allow her friend to crawl back into the arms of a bastard like me. They had fought too hard for the life they had now, and the good times were just starting. Linyu wasn't going to let anyone, especially me, ruin everything. She turned to C2 and asked coldly, "Since you can't answer, let me ask you something else. Have you ever thought about how hard it is for a girl to be pregnant and unmarried in this society? Even if this girl was completely in the wrong, is it really love when the father of the child hides away and refuses to show his face?" C2 started to stammer, trying to find the words. "You don't know," Linyu interrupted, "and you couldn't possibly know, so let me tell you. When Urian found out she was pregnant, the baby was already 3 months along. Her parents gave her 2 choices, abort the baby or leave the house and fend for herself. Rian was just a young girl back then. She didn't know what to do, but she refused to end the pregnancy. Several times she stood at the hospital doors, hearing a tiny life calling out mommy in her mind. She cried and realized she couldn't go through with it, so in her desperation, she left. She planned to work hard and raise the child alone, hoping they wouldn't starve. But that despicable man you claim loves her? I was about to destroy even that small hope she had left. Just as Rian managed to find a decent job to support herself, those filthy debt collectors showed up. They were holding my loan contracts, and Urian was listed as the guarantor. They told her that I had vanished into thin air. Since I couldn't pay, they hunted her down, digging into her family and her workplace. Rian didn't have a cent to her name, so they harassed her parents, her friends, and the company where she worked. And that is exactly how Rian's parents ended up falling ill. One by one, Rian's friends and family started avoiding her like the plague. Then, Rian lost her job. That pack of beasts snatched away every cent she had left. Tell me, C2, do you know what it's like for a pregnant girl to sleep on a stone park bench at night? Do you know the agony of watching your father waste away from illness while you're forced to stay away? Have you felt the despair of a woman standing on a 30-story roof, ready to jump because the world hates her? No, you wouldn't understand. You aren't worthy. You're just a dog. You're just Yu's lapdog, barking out his nonsense. So go back and ask your master, how does he plan to pay these debts? Can he even afford it? Lin Yu's voice grew sharper with every word, fueled by pure hatred for what happened. The crowd stood there, stunned into silence, thinking that a man like me deserved to die. C2 didn't even hear their whispers. His face went dark, ignoring the insults as he realized the timeline Lin Yu was describing. I remember those days. I remember them so well I could grind my teeth to dust. My nails dug into my palms as I shook with rage, hating how powerless I was back then. I really did take out those loans when I was starting my business, but I had already paid them off. I never imagined those vultures kept the records. Back then, I was dying in a hospital bed, signing my assets over to Rian in a secret will. Somehow, those greedy bastards heard I was dead and that Rian was coming into a fortune. Blinded by greed, they hunted her down, but the joke was on them because I didn't die. But that breath of life nearly choked me after learning what Rian went through. Of course, what followed was my cold, calculated revenge. Every single person who bullied Rian was sent to prison or a labor camp. C2 spoke up weakly, saying I didn't know and couldn't be fully blamed. He still didn't reveal my terminal illness to the crowd. My health is the one line he won't cross without my permission. C2 knows that secret is my final boundary. Lin Yu sneered. Is that it? Is that your pathetic explanation? I see you couldn't come up with anything better, she added coldly. She told him it wasn't just about the job. Rian couldn't even afford prenatal checkups. She lacked basic nutrition, which left our daughter born with severe anemia. Do you know the toll that took? Rian spent nights vomiting with her body swollen from edema. She had to care for Guogua, but she was too malnourished to even produce milk. To buy formula for the baby, that foolish girl went to wash dishes at a restaurant, scrubbing plates in ice-cold water all day. Do you have any idea what that does to a woman? When I finally found her, I asked her why she was being so stupid. She said she wasn't stupid. It was the only job that let her keep Guogua by her side. Guogua had just come out of surgery and couldn't be away from her mother for a second. Rian didn't even get a single day of rest after giving birth. Where was I at that moment? Where was the great Yu then? So don't even try to go home. It doesn't matter if I had my reasons or not. Weighty as they may be, they're useless now. Lin Yu shouted, defending Rian with everything she had. She believes those who stood by Rian will never forgive the pain I caused. C2 smiled bitterly as the tears threatened to fall. It's not that he isn't strong, it's just been too hard for everyone. Fate has forced us both through countless hardships and left us bruised. But at least Rian had my secret protection. What did I have left? Once that countdown to my death began, every second became torture. Despair was the only thing I had left to hold on to. C2 opened my diary and began reading in a low, steady voice. September 10th. This is our first day apart. I didn't sleep at all. I don't know what I did wrong. I miss you like crazy. Yesterday, I knelt before you with roses, crying like a child. But I could never tell you the real reason for our breakup is my death. If you think I'm not good enough, I can change. I can be better. September 13th. I can't take this anymore. I hate that red exclamation mark. I sent countless messages and waited for you after work, but you never showed. September 30th. Rian, I'm sorry. Am I giving up? No, just for now. My body is failing me, but I tell myself I'll get better soon and head out for a while. C2 paused, looked up at Rian, and reminded her she cut off all contact back then. I moved out of our home, but did you ever even give me a chance to explain? Rian closed her eyes as tears streamed down, realizing how reckless she had been. She thought deleting a person meant deleting the memories, so she just turned off her phone. She played the part of the elegant traveler, pretending she was fine being alone. But was she really? If she hadn't been so stubborn, would things be different now? She shook her head violently, trying to drown out the what-ifs. She begged to know what was wrong with my health, but C2 stayed silent. He couldn't answer because we both thought treatment would save me back then. Nobody knew that things were about to spiral far beyond anyone's expectations. C2 looked back at the diary. October 30th. It's been a month. I'm back. Rian is back in the city where we live together. I'm never leaving again. I'll probably never have you again, but just breathing the same air is enough. Being able to see you from a distance is the greatest happiness I have left. November 12th. I snuck out of the hospital to see you. I'm sleeping all the time now. I'm so tired, but I finally woke up enough today to rush to your side. Luckily, you didn't notice me watching you. You still go to our old cafe alone. You've lost weight, and it breaks my heart. December 20th. The pain is so bad I can't get up. Please, let me last until New Year's. My New Year's wish. Find someone to love you forever. Have many children. The wedding I owe you. I'll pay you back in the next life. I'm sorry. This isn't true. Rian couldn't hold back anymore and interrupted with a scream. Tell me, what was happening to him at that moment? What's wrong with him? What is all this talk about the next life? She was struggling just to keep it together. He just wanted to make it until New Year's. Where was I during all of this? I don't want to hear this. Tell me right now. Rian was losing her mind, screaming and shouting frantically. No matter how much she listened, she only heard one word written between the lines of the diary: death. C2 looked at Rian with a mix of pain and pity, wondering how I had survived those days alone. The woman I loved had left me, and my life had been handed a death sentence. He felt a deep sorrow for me, imagining if I could see Rian in this state of madness now. I'd probably feel comforted knowing the woman I gave everything for actually still cares, wouldn't I? You didn't die. He's still alive, C2 said slowly, revealing only that much. So his illness was cured? If he's cured, why hasn't he come to find me? I spent so much time desperately searching for him. Why didn't he answer me? Where is he now? Rian asked anxiously, desperate to know everything about me. Even if she hated me, I had loved her once, and she was still the mother of my child. C2 shook his head and explained that my condition had only stabilized temporarily. As for why he didn't answer, when he looked for you, you weren't there. And when you looked for him, he was likely in treatment, unable to respond. A cruel, cliché joke. As for why he didn't come back to you, let the diary explain. C2 opened the book again. January 15th. Another month has passed. Rian, it's been 3 months and 5 days since we parted. I have good news. My surgery was a success. It means I can stay with you a little longer. I'm so happy. I want to see you so badly. As soon as I can get out of bed, I'm coming for you. February 1st. Today is one of the most infuriating days of my entire life. Rian, I'm so sorry. I had no idea you were suffering so much because of those despicable bastards. Yes, I took a loan from them, but I already paid it back. I didn't think they'd keep a copy of the contract. They used it to blackmail you. Don't worry, Rian. I was terrified for you, but I will make sure they pay the ultimate price. February 22nd. Today is the first day of the Lunar New Year. Rian, I have more good news to tell you. The thugs who harassed you are in prison. How dare they touch my woman? They must have a death wish. February 25th. Forgive me. I have finally made my decision. Rian, I won't look for you anymore, but my love will be with you forever. March 1st. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know how many times I have to say it to make up for this guilt. If C2 hadn't let it slip today, I never would have known that you're pregnant. I'm such an idiot. Rian, I want so badly to see what our child looks like. March 22nd. Rian, I'll tell you a secret. That job you landed today, I pulled the strings to get it for you. Haha, you'll never know. If you did, you'd probably punch me. You'd say you don't want me controlling you, and honestly, my body couldn't take one of your punches right now. The boss there is a friend of mine. He'll take good care of you. I know you'll do great. April 28th. I saw you in secret again today. You're finally on maternity leave. Our baby is almost here. I'm suddenly so nervous. Is this what being a father feels like? You looked so beautiful when you smiled. May 1st. Today I went to your parents' house. I sat there for a long time, but I still didn't have the courage to go up. I'm afraid of causing you trouble, and I know how much you want their forgiveness. It's all my fault. But I did something in secret. I bought them that car for seniors they were always too hesitant to buy. I saw your father smile. I think he'll forgive you. I wish I had the chance to call him Dad. May 25th. Today is Wobo's birthday, his first day in this world. I'm at the hospital, but I won't let anyone see me. When I heard Wobo's first cry, my heart just took flight. It's a feeling I can't even describe. Suddenly, I saw the continuation of my own life. From now on, the woman I love most has a new protector. But don't worry, Rian, you'll always be my number one. May 27th. Why, you cruel heavens. Wasn't it enough to throw all these hardships at me alone? Why torture my daughter too? The moment I heard Wobo had congenital anemia, my entire world collapsed. She's still so small. She's so adorable. Why does she have to endure so much suffering? June 1st. I might not be able to write in this diary for long today. Because today, my blood will enter Wobo's body. From now on, when you hold her, will it feel a little like you're holding me? Silence. The crowd fell into a heavy silence once again. Rian was already sobbing uncontrollably, unable to stop no matter what. Yiyu, where are you? Why did he ask you to read these things? Is he okay now? I really need to hear from him. I can tell you now with a smile. I don't hate you anymore. I remember that March 22nd mentioned in the diary. Wobo was about to be born back then. I had no intention of looking for work. But that day, someone called me out of the blue to invite me for an interview. I figured it was from one of the many resumes I'd sent out a while back. I went just to try my luck, and the interview went surprisingly well. Even I was shocked. A pregnant woman, a single mother about to give birth, a mom-to-be who would need maternity leave almost immediately. How could it be that easy to find a job? Now I know. It was you all along, Yiyu. C2 started to speak, almost blurting out that Yiyu was dying, but he bit his lip and swallowed the words. He's fine. Maybe he never wanted you to know the contents of this diary in his entire life. But I think there are some things you deserve to know. C2 lowered his head and opened the diary again. September 11th. Somehow, 3 months have passed in the blink of an eye. I didn't think I'd make it. I never expected to survive. It's all thanks to you. All thanks to Wobo. Every time I want to give up, your faces flash through my mind. I want to be with you. I want to watch the sunrise and sunset by your side. I want to be with Wobo and watch her grow up, even if it's only for one more day. September 22nd. Idiot. I'm such a damn idiot. Rian, I saw you again today. I saw you with Wobo on your back, washing dishes for a living. The jagged edge of a broken plate sliced your hand. You were bleeding so much. It must have hurt. I wanted so badly to run inside and hold you, but I can't. I don't want you to see me like this, either. I'm sorry, Rian. I failed to protect you. I swear this is the last time. The last time I ever let you get hurt. October 2nd. Rian, you smiled. When was the last time I saw that smile? I've forgotten. Time is a headache. It can take so much away from you. In the blink of an eye, it's been a long time since things were right. We've been apart for over a year now. We've been through so much this year. I'm not myself anymore, and you've stopped smiling so much. But I think that after today, you'll be smiling a lot more often. Because you finally found a job you actually love. Chen Lu is an exceptionally talented music producer. His music company is top tier. He promised me he'll protect everything that's yours. I'm at peace with everything. Time changes many things, but my love for you is the one constant. Suddenly, Rian cut Sidu off, her voice loud and trembling. Impossible. Chen Lu couldn't have known Yiyu. There is absolutely no connection between those two. This diary is a fake. It has to be a fake. Rian screamed. She refused to believe it was real. Music was her last shred of dignity when her life was falling to pieces. Music gave her the courage to keep living. She always thought music had given her a second life. She didn't want to believe that I was the one who arranged all of it. Sidu just smiled. Rian, you can't be that naive, can you? Do you really believe that ridiculous story about being discovered by a talent scout while walking down the street? I've been in the entertainment industry for years. Only outsiders believe that kind of fairy tale. Rian stood there, stunned. Stop it. Don't say another word. Stop talking nonsense. Situ's persistence made Linyu snap. She screamed at the top of her lungs. What kind of person do you think Yiyu is? I've seen him. He couldn't possibly know someone as powerful as Chen Lu. I think you're a fraud. Who knows where you actually found this diary? You probably wrote it yourself. Or maybe you and Yiyu are working together. What's your real angle? Do you think Rian abandoned him back then? Are you here for revenge? Do you want to ruin her? Situ sneered coldly. He thought Lin Yu was a lunatic, a complete madwoman, and there was no point in arguing with her. Situ looked back at Rian, his gaze freezing. Do you also believe that Yiyu is trying to hurt you? Rian shook her head violently. She turned to her friend. Lin Yu, stop talking nonsense. I don't believe Mr. Situ is that kind of person. No, they don't have bad intentions today. Even if I really did all those things, why would Situ say it in front of so many people? Lin Yu grew more frantic, certain this news would spread to every corner of the country and ruin us. She was beyond frustrated with everything that had happened today. Lin Yu, stop it, Rian said, her voice tinged with anger. What does it matter anyway? We were going to make it public today regardless. I've hidden it for 5 years, and I'm done hiding. I love my fans, and I believe they will understand and forgive me. Rian fought to keep her emotions in check as she looked at Situ. Please forgive my friend. She was being impulsive. I'm just an ordinary person, but I know the difference between a favor and a grudge. I'm grateful for what you did. If you still won't tell me where I am, or if I still don't want to see you, then please pass on a message. I don't hate him anymore. From now on, our debts are settled. Of course, if I wanted to see Wowo, I would respect my rights as a father, but only that far. Situ shook his head with a bitter smile. I'll pass that along. But do you really not love you anymore? Situ wasn't ready to give up yet, so he pressed her with that one final question. Does that even matter now? Rian asked softly. If I still loved her, why didn't I show up? I trust you, Mr. Situ. I believe I really did have health problems over these last 4 years. But it's been 4 years. I debuted 4 years ago. Even the worst illness should have improved by now. My schedule is public. My life is transparent. But I never showed up once. Maybe I've already fallen for someone else. No, Situ shouted. He realized instantly he was too emotional. No, I've been watching you all these years. I've been helping you. Rian gave a soft, sad smile. Is that what you're trying to tell me, Mr. Situ? Are you saying my achievements over these 4 years were all planned by you? That he made me the top artist in Daisha? That he made my fans love me? Mr. Situ, do you really think that's possible? I believe my start was his doing, but everything after that, I achieved through my own hard work. Everything you have is connected to him, Situ said, making Rian let out a dry laugh. She smiled and shook her head. Mr. Situ, that's impossible. What are you trying to tell me? That the reason I'm famous now, the reason I became Daisha's #1 star, was also Yi Yu's work. Do you think that's even possible? He might have helped me get my foot in the door. He might have even introduced me to Sister Chun. But could he make billions of fans fall in love with me? Could he step onto the stage and sing a single song in my place? Situ smiled softly. Never underestimate what a genius can do. Just because a mortal can't achieve it doesn't mean he can't. You want to know what you did? You have Sister Chin's number right there. Ask her. The most important person in Rian's career wouldn't lie to you, right? Fine, I'll call. You think I won't? Lin Yu couldn't stand the provocation. She grabbed the phone and found Chun Lu's contact, but hesitated at the dial button. She looked at Rian, unsure if she should proceed. Rian bit her lip and nodded. She needed the whole truth. Lin Yu pressed dial. After a few rings, the call connected. Hello, Lin Yu. What's wrong? Is everything finished on Rian's end? Everything went well today. Lin Yu's tone became much more respectful. Sister Chun, I'm sorry to bother you so late. There are some issues regarding Rian. There are a few things I need to verify with you. Is it something serious? Chun Lu's tone immediately turned anxious. It's nothing grave. I just wanted to ask if you know a Mr. Yi Yu. Lin Yu didn't beat around the bush. She asked her directly. The other end of the line went dead silent before she finally gasped. He appeared. Have you seen him? The crowd started buzzing at her reaction. She recognized the name. Situ hadn't lied. But no, Yi Yu hadn't actually shown his face. Only a Mr. Situ showed up. He claims everything Rian has is thanks to Mr. Yi. Lin Yu kept her voice soft, but her question was sharp and direct. A dry laugh came through the speaker. So Boss Situ is there? Let me speak to him. All right, Lin Yu nodded, her expression souring as she handed the phone to Situ. Chun Lu actually called him Boss Situ. It seemed the man standing in front of us was a much bigger deal than we thought. Could everything he said really be true? But how did Yi Yu pull it off? Lin Yu racked her brain, but she couldn't make sense of it. Boss Situ, was all of this Mr. Ye's idea? Chun Lu asked over the line. Even without a full explanation, Chun Lu had already guessed most of what happened tonight. This wasn't his idea, Situ said with total indifference. I just think it's time for everything to go public. His words silenced the other end again. Chun Lu never imagined Situ would go rogue like this. I'll take full responsibility for the fallout. Sister Chun, just tell them what you know. Situ added when he realized she was hesitating. A heavy sigh finally echoed from the other end of the phone. Is Mr. Yi, is he doing okay now? Chun Lu asked softly. She already suspected why Situ was being so aggressive. There could only be one reason. She feared Yi Yu was dying, and she needed to know if he was still holding on. Chun Lu, why did you hire Rian in the first place? Was it really because you saw her talent? Situ didn't want to argue with her. He didn't want to debate Yi Yu's health either. He just asked the one thing everyone was dying to know. I promised Mr. Yi I wouldn't say a word. I can't do it, Chun Lu whispered, still hesitant. I told you, I'll take the fall for everything. Situ snapped, his patience wearing thin. Chun Lu, this isn't fair to Yi Yu. Do you want her to live with this regret forever? Situ's voice dropped. Yi Yu helped you more than anyone, didn't he? Chun Lu went silent for a long moment before finally letting out a breath. Fine, I'll tell her. Rian, you asked me before if what Situ said was true. Now I'm telling you. It's because Mr. Yi didn't just give you his life. He gave you everything you have right now. Even your very existence. The fact that you can live happily in this world. You owe it all to him. Mr. Yi? Sister Chun must be delusional. Several people in the crowd muttered in disbelief. If it weren't for the fact that this was the legendary Chun Lu speaking, they would have laughed her off stage. Rian looked like she'd been struck by lightning, standing there frozen and dazed. Sister Chun, I think you're exaggerating a bit, aren't you? Rian finally managed to stammer out. Chen-Lu just smiled and said, no, it's not an exaggeration at all. When Mr. Yi first recommended you to me, do you know how I reacted? I had known Mr. Yi for a very long time, but we hadn't stayed in close contact over the years. Still, from the very first time we met, I was blown away by his talent. Then one day, Mr. Yi called me out of the blue to recommend an artist. I was thrilled because I trusted his judgment, but when I saw you, I was crushed. Rian, I flipped my desk when I saw your profile. I'm a musician with principles, not a talent scout for pretty faces. I make music with substance. And back then, in my eyes, you were nothing but a useless, empty vase. Aside from your looks, I didn't see a single shred of talent in you. In my opinion, you had no business being in the entertainment industry. The crowd whispered as they watched the world's biggest star get torn apart like a fraud. Chen-Lu's voice kept cutting through the air. I didn't give Mr. Yi any face that day. I threw a fit because I felt your lack of skill was an insult to music itself. And it was an insult to me. To me, someone like Rian was a profanation of my life's work. Rian's face went pale, her composure finally shattering. It turned out the talent I thought I possessed was a lie. I had spent years gloating, thinking I was a diamond in the rough, when I was actually worthless. Chen-Lu had a sharp eye for talent, and it turned out I was the only clown in the room. Rian, don't look so sad. Later on, you truly proved your worth, but back then, that was exactly what I thought. After I flipped that desk, Mr. Yi didn't get angry. Instead, he pulled out two things. The first was a deed transferring ownership of Cine Music, the company now known as Chance Music. He told me that if I agreed to take Rian in, the entire company would be mine. At that time, even if the company wasn't famous, it was still worth tens of millions. Yi was as generous as always, but Chen-Lu didn't take the bait. You didn't expect that, did you? I had a fortune sitting right in front of me, and I didn't blink. To me, using money to buy my talent was an insult to music itself, and it made me even angrier. That contract Mr. Yi offered me, it was a flagrant sign of disrespect toward my life's work. I make music for a dream. That has always been my only motivation. So, with a cold smile, I took that contract and began to tear it into pieces. I shredded it right in front of Yi, but he seemed to have predicted I would do that. He immediately pulled out a second contract and laid it out before me. Along with it, he included a song, an incredible song, but I wasn't about to sell my soul. Just as Chen-Lu was preparing to destroy the second contract and the music, Yi reached out and stopped her. The look in his eyes was no longer confident. It was filled with pure desperation. You have to understand, at that moment, Mr. Yi was already a legendary figure in my eyes. I never imagined a man like him could ever look so broken. Then he spoke. Mr. Chun, I have never owed anyone anything in my entire life, except for her. I won't be able to repay her in this lifetime. If you hire her, I'll handle everything else. I beg of you. Mr. Yi, a man I saw as untouchable, was actually using the word beg. I couldn't understand it. In my mind, no one was worth that much sacrifice from a man like him. So you accepted, didn't you? That's why you found me back then. It was all just for Yi Yu's sake, wasn't it? Ruyin asked the question, and the other end of the line went dead silent. Finally, a slow sigh drifted through the speaker. I just couldn't stand seeing him look that way. I accepted. Hearing those words, Ruyin nearly collapsed, her entire body trembling with the weight of what I had done for her. But what she couldn't stand most was realizing that her so-called pride was a lie. Everything she achieved was something I had secured through humility. Her talent was just trash to them. Trash that Chen-Lu wouldn't have even glanced at if it weren't for me. Then, Chen-Lu spoke again, delivering the final blow. You could put it this way. If it weren't for Yi Yu, the Rian the world knows wouldn't even exist. The crowd gasped. To say she wouldn't exist without me? It sounded like an exaggeration. Sure, I gave her the chance, but didn't she seize it herself? Becoming the top star in show business in just 4 years takes more than just resources. It takes incomparable talent, and Rian just listened to the debate in silence, refusing to commit to a side. For 4 years, I was the one who woke up early and worked until late without a single complaint. I was the one practicing those songs until my voice gave out. I pushed myself through the dead of night, every single night. Back then, I barely noticed anything else happening in the world. To master those damn instruments, my fingers were constantly scarred and bloody from the strings. I learned in 4 years what takes others 10. If that isn't talent, what is? Over the phone, Chen-Lu heard the crowd debating Ruyan's genius and suddenly let out a cold laugh. Talent? Is that a joke? Maybe she has a little something, sure. But in all of Daisha, every art academy is packed with people who have that exact same voice. To anyone who actually works in music, her gift is incredibly common. Honestly, I was disappointed when I first saw her, but I couldn't refuse Yi Yu's plea, so I agreed to meet her in person before making a final call. I also wanted to see this Mrs. Yi for myself. I wanted to know what kind of woman could make a man like him yearn so desperately. Yi Yu told me his greatest wish in life was just to be with her in a house that wasn't too big or too small, to own a car that wasn't too flashy or too cheap, to simply go to work together and come home together at the end of the day, watching every sunrise and sunset, every minute, every season, together. He said if they could have a child, that would be the ultimate dream, something he can't have now. You said he once promised the person he loved most that he would let her do what she loved most. He wanted to turn her into the brightest superstar in the world. Hearing this, Rian's eyes turned red again, the first queen of Dacia. That was just a joke we used to share back then. I never imagined I would remember it all this time. Chen-Lu kept speaking over the line. Back then, I was curious about you, so I sought you out and made you sing. But I was disappointed. Your skills were honestly terrible. I went straight back to the office and called I to quit. I told him I wouldn't waste my energy on someone so mediocre. But I didn't say a word. I just told me to sign you and get you in the studio. The first song we recorded was one that I had written and given to me. Not only that, I actually bought out a global music platform. I secured the biggest promotion slot just to feature your debut single. Do you have any idea how much money I lost on that one song? A conservative estimate would be well over 8 figures. And that song directly damaged the reputation of my music company. Counting the drop in market value, I lost over 100 million. That's impossible, absolutely impossible. Rian finally snapped and screamed. As a legend who became Dacia's first queen in 4 years, she believed it was all her talent. Even if her early work was raw, she refused to believe it was that bad. Without waiting for a response, Chen-Lu kept going. And that's not even the end of it. Back then, the shareholders at Sinai Music were losing all faith in me. They nearly voted to strip me of my position as chairman at the board meeting. I had to pay out of my own pocket to dilute the shares just to calm the storm. 10 days later, I sent Chen-Lu an email containing 100,000 words. It was an exhaustive breakdown of Rian's every strength and flaw. I mapped out what she could fix with practice and which weaknesses to hide. Hearing this, Rian's heart twisted in pain as she remembered that report. It was the first time she realized music was a technical craft. That single document saved her 10 years of trial and error. For her second song, I kept collecting data and sent her more instructions. I lost hundreds of millions of dollars, nearly shaking Sinai to its foundations. I built Rian's career using Sinai's entire reputation and fan base. That's why I'm telling you, without him, the Rian you see today wouldn't exist. Rian, your so-called talent is nothing but his money and his endless effort. Everything you have was built word by word through his hard work. That report became the blueprint for every song she ever released. I handpicked melodies that hid her flaws and highlighted her strengths. And that is why the world praises her natural talent today. She never knew it was all an artificial setup, hidden perfectly by my hand. As Chen-Lu finished speaking, a deathly silence swallowed the entire room. Love can be as simple as giving everything to one person and asking for nothing back. If Chen-Lu was right, the resources I poured into her could turn anyone into a superstar. Rian's success had nothing to do with her talent. Her genius was just a packaged lie. The crowd hung their heads, feeling the sting of 1,000 slaps to the face. Rian looked hollow, realizing the talent she took pride in was a complete joke. The man she hated most had been the only one truly keeping her alive. I was never in her life, yet I was everywhere, loving her from the shadows. But why hadn't I shown my face? Why stay hidden for all those years? Rian's tears fell, not out of self-pity this time, but because she was finally moved. People in the audience began to sob, perhaps remembering their own lost, selfless loves. In the middle of that heavy silence, a melody began to play softly. It was another one of Rian's sad love songs, and the title hit them like a realization. They finally understood why I sacrificed everything, because I love you too much. I'm drunk because I miss you, and the loneliness is eating me alive. I know I'll hurt you, but I can't let myself depend on you anymore. Was this how I really felt? The thought crossed everyone's mind at once. In every quiet, lonely night, I must have missed her until it felt like dying. I used alcohol to numb my nerves, desperate to forget Rian for just 1 second. Rian's tears overflowed, and she couldn't stop them no matter how hard she tried. Who else could this song be about but me, staring at the sky alone, afraid to close my eyes? I was terrified to sleep, fearing I'd see her in my dreams and wake up to a wet pillow. I spent every day alone, carrying the weight of the world for her sake. I remember a fight we had once, right after we made up. Rian asked me, if there's another life, what would you want to be? I told her I'd be anything, a ring, her glasses, even her bed, anything to be near her. She laughed and asked what the point of being an object was. I thought, so you can buy me back, because being by your side is the only thing that matters. It was a story sadder than sadness itself, and now Rian wanted to scream at me. If you loved me, why did you only protect me from the shadows? Why didn't you just show yourself? Don't you know you're all I need? The song played on. I understand now that the love you gave me was real. I just didn't know how to love you back, and that's why you had to leave. I don't know if I'll find you in the next life, so I'm giving you my best in this one. By loving you, I only end up hurting you. Our love is suffocating. Was this why I used my company to support her? Why I gave everything for nothing? It wasn't a lack of love, it was that I loved her far too much. Rian collapsed to the floor, sobbing, haunted by the memories of what she never saw. She never saw me kneeling to propose, or working myself to death for her and the baby. My health should have improved a bit by now according to the reports. I shouldn't be so weak that I can't even show my face, so why haven't I appeared? Chen-Nu didn't answer the question, but instead, she turned and looked at Rian. Rian froze the moment she heard those words, as if she'd been struck by lightning. If I return, could she still love me with that same old devotion? Could we ever really go back to the way things were? She barely survived those days of unbearable, crushing pain. 5 years have passed, and Rian tried every secret way she knew to forget me. Rian raised her wine glass, toasting to a past she wanted to bury. She told herself she would never look back, even if she fell for me all over again. She was just waiting to hit rock bottom so she could finally start over. Eventually, I wore down all her trust and piled up enough disappointment to break her. Her heart was already dead, and she swore she would never love again. But then I appeared again, revealing I'd been watching her silently for 5 years. What was the point? By what right did I do that? Did I think these sacrifices would move her, or was I just indulging my own guilt? Does the damage I caused suddenly not count anymore? Does her suffering as a single mother, struggling to raise our child alone, mean nothing? She had to build a career from nothing while I watched from the shadows. Even if she's moved by the truth now, can that kind of agony ever be forgiven?